Hey fellow creatives, today I'm going to talk about the single most important secret I use when creating paintings like this. And this tip applies to all of the paintings I do ever. When I learned this tip, it completely transformed the way I painted, and people definitely started noticing. People who don't know art lingo, people who don't know any color theory or how to paint, really started commenting like, wow, what did you do differently because your skills have skyrocketed? So I'm going to share that with you, so hopefully you can use this and apply it to your paintings and see the same stark contrast. Because I swear, if you don't learn anything else from me, learn this. This will help you the most. So what is that topic? Today we're going to talk about warm colors and cool colors and how to use them. Now, when you think about warm and cool colors, you might think back to elementary school and think, okay, my warm colors are my reds and oranges and yellows, stuff like that. And then my cool colors are my blues and purples. I don't know what green is in elementary school terms. Anyways, you probably do. That's not what I'm talking about though. Forget all of that. That's not really useful. Excuse me, I'm out of breath. This baby is getting big. Whew. So what do I mean by that difference between warm colors and cool colors? I mean that every color family has a spectrum of warm and cool. Orange has a spectrum of warm colors and cool colors. Blue has warm colors and cool colors in it. We need to know the difference between those warm blues and those cool blues, warm reds, cool reds, to be able to create a very dynamic and eye-catching painting. I can't stress enough how important it is because of this to lay out your palette. What I do is I lay out my palette with warm colors closest to me and cool colors furthest away from me. And everything is always in the order, like I've told you in a previous video, of yellow, orange, red, green, blue, violet. So it's yellow, orange, red, green, blue, violet in the warms, and then furthest away from me, yellow, orange, red, green, blue, violet in the cools. And this really allows me to not only keep track of where my warms are and where my cools are, but also which colors are complementary of one another. And then when I'm doing that color mixing, you might notice in this shot that my palette is really messy because I've done a lot of color mixing here. I just finished this painting behind me, and you can see I did a lot with skin tones. I recommend using a large palette for this, and I have a lot of colors laid out because I use all of these colors when I paint. But also having a large palette allows you to mix your colors in the correct place so you don't get confused about where your warms are, where your cools are, and where your neutrals are. So how do you make neutral paint? You mix a warm with a cool. I usually mix my neutrals right in the middle of my palette. My warms are still closest to me and my cools are still furthest away. Why is this important? Let me tell you about how to place warm and cools on your painting. The general rule is warm colors jump out at you, they come toward you, and cool colors recede away from you. Look at your painting that you're working on and think, what do I want to draw my viewer's eye toward? That's where you want to put your warm colors. And then the parts of your painting that are less important, like probably most parts of your background, rounded objects, parts of that object that are furthest away, going away from you towards the background, you might use cool colors. And I usually work cool to warm, background to foreground. Usually, this might vary a little bit depending on the painting itself. With this painting and most paintings, I usually put in my darks first. So I overpaint my darks, and those are usually cool because they're in the shadows that are trying to recede away from you. So I used a lot of Prussian blue and dioxazine purple, and I mixed either one of those with black and really overpainted my darks, like the dark parts of the dress, also the shadows on the legs and the hand. And those two colors are both cool colors, so they recede away from you. If you're wondering, how the heck do I figure out which colors are warm and which colors are cool? Look down in the description. I'll attach a link as a free resource page that I've made that lists out the warm and cool colors, so you can know exactly which of your colors are warm and which are cool. Now, something I want to point out in this painting is that this leg is behind the leg in front, right? On this front left leg, I used more warm colors, especially on these highlights that I really wanted to jump out at the viewer. On her right leg, I used mostly cool colors because I wanted you to be able to tell, okay, her right leg is behind her left leg. I want you to be able to tell the depth. This other detail I added was these shoes are supposed to be the same color, right? I used kind of a teal blue, a blue-green. You probably can't even tell that this teal blue that you can see on her right shoe that's behind is actually a different teal blue than on this left shoe that's in front. I made the one in the back out of cool colors, and I made this teal blue in the front out of warm colors. So you can make, if you get good at color mixing, you can make at least very similar colors out of just warms and then just cools. Also in her hand right here, on this knuckle that's kind of coming forward a bit, I put more warm colors in those highlights, unlike her pinky finger or those fingers that are further back just because of the angle of her hand. I put more neutrals or cools. On her dress, so the part of her dress that's coming over her leg, even though I put a lot of warms on this front leg right here, I made sure that on this dress I used strictly warms for the parts that were coming right over her leg, because I want you to be able to see the difference there as well. Okay, this dress is supposed to be over her leg. This is what is coming toward you more than the leg itself. So really the most important thing I want you to remember is warms go in front, cools go in back, and somewhere in between you have your neutrals. That secret right there can completely transform your paintings. I swear. I mean, you've seen it. I want to see what you guys create. Let me know if you already knew this in the comments down below. Thank you. Bye.